On this Still Serving, we take a look at a Marine veteran who spends his time helping student veterans on the campus of Montgomery College make their final about-face to civilian life. This is Jason Franklin.
I was a Marine. I defended our embassy in Iraq.
I was in the Army. I was a combat photographer in Somalia.
We did a lot of good over there.
I saw a fellow soldier save the life of a child.
That's why I'm still serving.
And that's why I'm still serving.
These are the stories of true American heroes, of men and women who served in the U.S. Armed Forces, veterans now, still serving their fellow Americans.
'98, I wound up joining the United States Marine Corps. Went in as right out of high school and served 4 years as an infantry rifleman out in 29 Palms, California.
At the age of 18, a young Jason Franklin enlisted in the Marines. Following in the footsteps of his father, Jason proudly served our nation for 5 years before separating from service.
I got out of the Marine Corps in '02 and wound up at the beginning of '03. I was recalled during the beginning of the invasion into Iraq.
Jason spent the last year of his service as a military policeman stateside before transitioning to civilian life. Jason quickly found out how hard that task was.
I felt isolated. I felt as though no one around me knew what I was going through. It is tough to be a veteran, come home from a very, very structured life in the military, and then to take all that structure and set it aside and then become a independent, free-thinking individual. That's really a big challenge.
The challenge for Jason was a lack of structure in his life. Jason then found that structure in a surprising place.
I got out of the Marine Corps and I sort of told myself I had a goal that I was going to get a black belt in something before the age 30. I just didn't know what. Kyokushin Karate was founded by a man named Mas Oyama in Japan sometime during the 1960s, and he wanted to take karate into a place where it wasn't point-based. It was something where you hit somebody and you knocked them down, and the last man standing essentially was the true victor. And that's part of the reason why Kyokushin is directly translated to the ultimate truth. I have to say, it filled a void that the Marine Corps had left when I got out of the Marine Corps, because I had still loved the camaraderie, I still loved the idea of structure and rank. I found that the martial arts allowed me to have a lot of what I wanted. I still had a lot of fight left in me. And up until about a year and a half ago, I was a full contact knockdown karate competitor.
His struggle with his transition back into civilian life is what inspires Jason to help others. He feels he can relate to what they're going through, and he wants to help the way Kyokushin helped him.
So I have a quote that I think in this quote, it's about a paragraph, sort of solidifies the reason why I do what I need to do, or what I do what I do here. Boys with a normal viewpoint were taken from the fields and offices and factories and classrooms and put into the ranks. They were remolded, they were made over, they were made to about face. To regard murder as the order of the day, they were put shoulder to shoulder, and through mass psychology, they were entirely changed. We used them for a couple of years and trained them to think nothing of killing or being killed. Then suddenly, we discharged them and told them to make another about face. This time, they had to do it on their own, readjusting without mass psychology, without officers' aid and advice, without nationwide propaganda. We didn't need them anymore. We scattered them about without any speeches or parades. Too many of these fine young boys are eventually destroyed mentally because they could not make that final about face alone. I think that resonates so much because I see people coming home and they are trying so hard to just fit in, just be part of society, and just blend in. The reality is, I continue over and over again to see individuals who struggle when they come home, and they're constantly rethinking whether or not going back into the military is their best option because they have no options. And to me, not to say going back into the military is not a good plan. I think it's extremely honorable if that's something that somebody wants to do. But at the same time, I feel bad. I feel for someone when they feel like that is their only choice. That's their only options in life, is to go back in because they can't make it in the real world. I have a problem with that. And I want to do what I can to be part of that solution. Now, fast forward a bunch of years, I wound up going back to school, got a great education at Montgomery College, where I currently work now, and several people who I had worked with, they thought that I would be a good fit for this new program that they were going to roll out, which eventually became the Combat to College program.
The Combat to College program provides academic and social opportunities, as well as support services for veterans located at the Montgomery College in Montgomery County, Maryland. Started in 2008, the Combat to College program has been working with departments within the college to help aid student veterans, providing counseling, guidance, and even an exercise and wellness program where Jason uses his karate training and exercise science degrees to better the lives of veterans.
So the exercise acts in the brain. When somebody begins exercising, it acts in the brain like a mild antidepressant, okay? And this is across the board for all people, all human beings, across everywhere. Now, if you are living a life where you are constantly exercising and then one day you stop exercising, most athletes who do this experience some mild depression or mild to severe depression depending on their circumstances. Well, our goal through Combat to College was that if we could provide an outlet for people to be physically active, if they can improve their health, it will ultimately improve their studies, improve their concentration, improve their sleep, which is a big one, and then most importantly, just to provide a level of self-efficacy, make them feel better about themselves because they're remaining physically fit and they're taking control of their own health and their lives.
Aside from the exercise and wellness parts of Combat to College, Jason is involved in many other facets of the program.
One of the big pieces that I'm specifically responsible for is outreach. I go through the campus, I interact with veterans, I see them walking, and I know it sounds crazy because veterans don't advertise typically that they're veterans, but by age, by their build, by their way that they stand and walk and carry themselves, and every once in a while something like a little piece of militaria, some sort of unit patch, maybe boots, maybe they're still wearing their haircut, maybe they even just have something as simple as a paracord bracelet. I might be able to identify them and I might be able to help them.
Jason works tirelessly to serve his fellow veterans in hopes he can improve the life of each veteran he interacts with. If you're interested in finding more about the Combat to College program and all that it has to offer, visit their website on the screen.
There was one particular instance where I felt really good because I had a veteran who I bumped into on campus, And the only reason why I bumped into him was because he had a black, like a satchel bag or one of these sort of, almost like a laptop bag that had an eagle globe and anchor, which is the Marine Corps emblem on the front of it. This student, when he first came to Montgomery College, he had some issues. He struggled through things that had happened to him when he was in Iraq and Afghanistan. My first interaction with him, I guess, was positive enough that he decided he wanted to be more involved with Combat to College. And I told him the best way he could be involved is just come out to our events, come out to our meetings, come, just be part of the program. He eventually started coming to the fitness center hours regularly, started even coming to martial arts classes with us regularly, eventually became a Veterans Club president, and working through some of the things that he worked through, he eventually got into the theater department, and he blossomed there. And clearly, any feelings that he had through I guess, anxiety from being in front of a crowd or being in a crowd, I think some of that was sort of being in theater and being on stage and performing. I feel like that may have been somewhat cathartic for him, because after a while, he really wasn't coming around as frequently. I didn't see him as much. He would still stop in and pop in every once in a while, say, "Hi, how you doing?" But in my mind, he's like the epitome of our success story.
For now, Jason continues to help veterans through the Combat to College program, living his life, still serving those who served.